we move on now to the Indiana Pacers. George Hill and O'Shea Brissett are free agents. Tyrese Halliburton already, Jesus, it happened so fast, eligible for his, as much as you want to pay him under the CBA, I would pay him all the money. Aaron Nesmith also eligible for an extension. So this is another cap space team. There's a handful of them here. About $32 million in space. They don't have any notable trade exceptions. So another team, although I think we both probably agree they're a little further along, or they have a better sense of what kind of team they're going to be rebuild wise than, say, Detroit, or I'm trying to think who else we mentioned, the theoretically blown up Chicago Bulls, or some of the
I was going to say they have a better idea of who they are than the Chicago Bulls do, let's be honest.
Yeah, which is to say Halliburton runs the show. We have some guards and small wings that we like, and Miles Turner is our spacer at the 5. Like, not a bad, starting point, even if the ages are kind of out of whack a little bit. So is this a team then that should be spending this money? Or is this another team that I'm just going to listen to you talk and then say, I'd rather take on a bad contract?
I think they should spend it because, especially now, like Utah and them theoretically could have been vying for a lot of the same free agents. I don't think they will be anymore. And there are free agents, like you look at a Grant Williams or PJ Washington that like kind of fit their timeline. And so you're not accelerating too much. I will say one of my favorite targets for them now, though, and I'm not sure if them drafting Jarris Walker impacts this for you at all. I like the idea of someone who, rather than playing the 4 and then being able to slide up to the 5, you have them make a play the 3 and the 4. Mm-hmm. And so I immediately think, like, I don't know if they're a Kyle Kuzma team, but like Harrison Barnes, even if you don't want to break the bank, or I think my favorite target for them now is officially Jeremy Grant, because if the Blazers aren't going to pay him or they don't want to give him like that amount of money, he can play the 3 or the 4, works alongside in a Jarris Walker, Miles Turner front court, maybe a little bit older than you want. But look, there's a chance. Like, they were pretty competent when they had their entire stable of personnel available last year. And like you said, they have a better theory of how they can play specifically on offense. And it definitely, maybe not as much on defense, but like Detroit is kind of searching. It was definitely searching for itself all year defensively last season. And so I don't think they need to look at this urgently, that we have to spend this money. They could be a cap dumping team, but they also feel like so year by year, in the sense where they don't know if they're going to continue rebuilding or not, that they might be less inclined to take on a multi-year deal. Then, like, if it's Tobias Harris and they're giving up, Daniel Tice for Tobias, like something stupid, like that's not even work. Like TJ McConnell and Daniel Tice for Tobias Harris. Yeah, they might do something like that because Tobias Harris comes off the books. But I don't know if they're going to be as open to the multi-year salary dumps as other teams, which makes me think, maybe they could come into play for some of these free agents that would actually be a good fit, but maybe they don't quote unquote fit the traditional rebuilding timeline, just because I don't think the Pacers are operating on such a timeline.
Yeah, I think I agree. Shockingly, because I always just vouch for use your cap space for other things. And it's partly because of what you've said, but it's just like, this team needs a 4. And even like normally when you start talking about, well, what about taking on Tobias Harris? Like, Tobias Harris actually would fit. Like, he would make good sense positionally on this team, like a little on the small side, I guess, for a 4, but like
it's 6'9". I think that's fine, right?
Yeah, no, it's especially nowadays. Like it's fine. So, but that wouldn't be my first choice. I think you isolate which of the restricted 4s you think you could get. You start with, just like we talked about, you start with Cam Johnson and move down the ladder and see, which it makes sense, or to waste not waste, but to devote your cap space being held up on an offer sheet. I think that's a way to go. Grant makes a lot of sense. I don't know how serious I was or am about it, but like Draymond Green is, someone that we've talked about at that spot, because Turner just affords you, is a way for you to afford having Green as a non-shooter out there. I think, there aren't a lot of 5s that, make that fit as clean as Turner. So you could do all kinds of stuff with, like, I think Dylan Brooks, even, like, he's too small to be a full-time 4, but again, Turner's like the skeleton key. It's, at least in theory, where, you got shooting at the 5, so you can stomach having a non-shooter at the 3 or the 4 or whatever. And, I think getting a guy that can defend, a guy that's physical, a guy that, the shooting isn't a total must to fit into the 4. I think that's the way you go with the cap space. And if that guy can shoot, awesome, even better. But I think the Pacers weirdly have some flexibility with that spot.
I guess what would also be a good barometer for where they're at, and they could also go like lower end. I mentioned Harrison Barnes if they wanted to be. They could be a Matisse Thybulle team. I wouldn't hate that.
Again, you can handle the non-shooting. You know, you can deal with it.
I actually wouldn't hate Chris Middleton here either. Would be.
That
You just hate
one.
Chris Middleton. What's the matter with you?
That one's like, now we're really not messing around with us being a young team anymore. Like we're gonna spend, because I mean, what's it gonna take to get Chris Middleton? You're way over 30, right, per year, and you probably
That's true. You'd have to clear more money.
Yeah.
But maybe his market isn't what it is, but he did opt out, so it'll lead me to believe that there's something going on in Milwaukee there.
Yeah.
But I think what would be a good barometer for how much faith they have in this core, what they're actually looking to do, which trade targets are they going to be linked to? And they'll be continuously linked to OG Anunoby. And are they willing to give up stuff for OG Anunoby is the perfect fit.
Yeah.
He is perfect. I talk about how he's overrated for most teams. Indiana is not
here.
one of those teams.
Yeah.
I just don't know what you're not giving up Benedict Mathurin for him. I don't think they would give up Jarris Walker for him. I'm not a Jarris Walker fan, but like the number what ended up being the number 8 pick, like with 4 years left on his rookie. Like, no, I'm not. I don't know that I'm doing that for OG Anunoby, but like you have your own picks. You have some of like you don't have any other teams as future picks anymore after this draft. So I just don't know what the packages that they'd be wanting. They have the cap flexibility to be like, hey, we don't need to give you anything like tangible, but I don't know. Like Chris Duarte is not going to move the needle for Toronto in those times. I know, and that was the best trade proposal I would get from Pacers fans. Like, do you think like Duarte and the Celtics pick would get OG? And it's like, no, I don't. Like, I don't think that would do it.
You wouldn't trade Mathurin for OG?
Would I trade Matt? I mean, OG would have to guarantee he's coming back.
Yeah,
but, like he's going to sign an extension or he's going to resign a free agency. I'd probably need like, I don't like you're not going to get Grady Dick and OG for Benedict Mathurin, but like there would need to be. I need to get something else out of that. You need to be ready to compete now, and I just don't. I might be. Here's my take. I'm probably going to give up Jarris Walker for OG before I'm giving up Benedict Mathurin for OG.
I don't know how I feel about Walker yet, but I think I would. You'd have to get. You could just throw Tyson in there, and you get there with the money. Mathurin, Tyson, some kind of pick. I think I'd probably do that.
You just say, hey, we'll take OG for Jarris Walker. Like,
I don't know. I mean, your point is right though. Like, you're not just trading for OG. You're trading for OG, and then also the right, or I mean, obligation maybe is a better word, of paying him on his next deal. Which, who knows what the market's going to be. But that's ultimately the hang up with him. Is it's kind of like, well, and Siakam at least came out and said, I guess, like, I'm not resigning if you trade me. OG may be that way too. It's just more of an implied than an explicit threat.
Can we take a moment before we just list off some like lower end wing type targets for them and appreciate that we're entering an offseason devoid so far of Miles Turner trade rumors?
Kind of nice, right? Kind of nice.
And now John Collins is officially like Miles Turner kind of passed the torch to John Collins. And now John Collins has passed the torch to who? I guess Dame would be the.
Well, it's got to be Dame because Brad Beal's off the books too. Like we really have lost several of our. Have to talk about this guy again. Trade candidates. I mean, I think Towns is probably going to climb the ladder.
Who's next up?
Yeah, that's what we should do. Well, save that. That's good content, and that's a whole pod. Who's next on the? We have to talk about them every 3 days. Trade candidates.
I will say just quickly, like. This could be a Derek Jones Jr. team. Do they take a look at Jay Crowder? If you're looking for, I don't want to say lower end, but like not as glitzy trade targets, Jayshawn Tate, Dorian Finney-Smith.
Love that.
I'm just going to throw Herb Jones in here. If we want to reboot the Miles Turner trade rumors, we'll just pencil in Herb Jones. Larry Markkinen, if they were like, hey, we'll give you stuff. Like you want to talk about Benedict Mathurin, Larry Markkinen. I don't know how Jarris Walker again impacts that, but you could play those two together with Miles Turner. So
I feel like the Jazz and all their fans are wondering why you keep trying to trade Markkinen. They're not happy about this.
Keldon Johnson would be someone I kick the tires on too. Like, what do the Spurs want to do with him? But yeah, those are some other names to consider.